Howdy. In this video, I just want to show you how to kind of give tools to ChatGPT and have it do things. In this video, I'll show you how to use like Godot and a real quick kind of way to do this. So we're just going to start in ChatGPT because the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create some concept art. So I want a concept art screen grab of a 3D game where you are a chef and you are throwing burgers at hot dogs. Simple game. That was probably too much, that's the hardest part, but like you have to, the first thing is if you create like a concept, then you can at least kind of have like, okay, like give it like here's what I want it to kind of look like in the end, and then we have something. It's not going to look anything like that, of course. It's just to get your brain going. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to create an empty folder. So I have a bunch of folders here. This one's empty, and then so that means there's just an empty folder. Next thing we need to do is go to Godot and grab that, which is just a game engine, so it's free. You don't have to do anything, just download it. And here are the other ideas that I did the same process on. So now we have that. Now we probably want to grab ChatGPT, the app, which is like has codecs and everything in it, so that you can work on a idea. So I'll just show you this one just to show you how quick the idea is. So I gave it an idea. I said this is an empty folder. This I want a Godot game, and here's some things I want it to do. The idea is also to give it the tools and then access to create art. So it's ChatGPT, so it can create images. And then Meshy is an AI platform that takes images and makes 3D models. And then Pixel Lab is one that just creates pixel art. You don't need both of them. But if you're trying to like mix pixel art or just do a pixel art game or a 3D game, obviously, well, one thing is like the models aren't the best, but it doesn't really matter. So this is just a real quick one where it worked for 11 minutes. I had to do something, which I'll explain in a second, and then it worked again, and then I approved it to make models, and then I asked it to change something about the game, and then let's just go over here to see what that game is. So if we click on this one, it's called Yes Approved, and then we can just run it. And it's not a great game, but you have to like click on the ink and approve or deny different invoices, and then as you get you get a different stamper. That's kind of like the idea with this game, but it mixes kind of like 3D and then pixel art. So but either way, that's a game that I literally asked it to create, and it did it. So let's just get rid of this. No. So we just get rid of that. Hopefully, okay, now, and then we go back to our ChatGPT, and then it created that. So one thing we're gonna need is it does need API access to Pixel Lab and Meshy. So if you like go to Meshy AI and like things, you can sign up and grab the API key. So what I did is I created an env file. So what I'm going to do, this is, you can do it a variety of ways. The simplest way is to just give it the API key and say, hey, you have access to this. Like, I'm just going to copy this file. So what I did is I have a file here which has those two things in it. .env in the folder with the two Mesh API key and Pixel Lab API key if you want to use both. So I just go grab those, put them in there. You can get it into the chat, but this is just a way to be like, hey, it's in a file. Go and look at it. But anyways, that's what that is. Okay, so I have that saved nice and protected. Let's just go back here. Okay, so it hasn't created an image yet. So now we're just gonna continue on. So we're gonna do a new chat, and then we're going to have to give it a folder. Pretty sure. Like, how would you do this? Oh, you do like this. New project. And then the Godot game, my game, open it, burger time, burger time. And then I say, this is empty directory. I want a Godot game. I have env with Meshy API key and Pixel Lab API key. I need you to make a 3D game, and you can make 3 models using API, my permission, and the game is you are a first-person shooter with a burger, and you throw burgers at hot dogs, and it is a diner. Make it for me. Okay, and then it's gonna so with using the API keys and all that stuff, it doesn't really need anything crazy, or it doesn't need anything set up, and it will install it if it needs to. But it basically says, okay, cool, I have access to the API key, I can now go on the internet and look at how to use this thing, and then it will generate it, and it already created a folder for everything. So basically I just have an empty folder, and I said, here's where you have access to. You have Godot. I don't think I needed to set up anything for that. You have access to create assets. You can create images. It gives you an idea. Says please proceed to approve. Yes, approved. Since it doesn't want to spend money, you have to tell it. And then I can just steer it, just be like, hey, you are allowed to make the 30 credits, 90 credits. And then it'll tell me, okay, it's going to cost 90 credits, and it knows how much credits I have because it used the API key. And then it's okay, cool. Depends on what you start. It's 3D games and pixel games are completely different in terms of but you can mix the two. I just like to make things complicated. And then, so that's going. So right now it has no visual input. I just put in a sentence. So we have no idea what's going to happen. It says there's no Godot exclamation, so I'm making the project something using who cares what it's really saying? It's got it wrong. And then our concept art, which is awesome. Okay, so kitchen arena. So we throw burgers at hot dogs. That's awesome. Okay, and then go over here. Here is our concept art for the game. You can use it as splash screen and as visual reference. Then what I would do is say that is awesome. Now make a logo for the game using that style. So and then you can ask. So it's right there. If you like this, then it's okay. You have things that you can ask for just the hot dog photo, and then you can turn that into a model. Just the burger, the character, maybe, and then it's okay, what would you have? That's why it's a rabbit hole, because it's okay, to get to this, I'm, maybe you can see it, maybe you don't, but immediately I go, you have to have all of these models, you have to have all these effects, you have to have it all laid out, and in order to get to this kind of level is it's just polish and polish and polish and polish for every single thing you see. Definitely possible. And then there's the UI, so it's okay, you got your score, your things, okay, you got burgers that you can throw and you defeat the hot dogs. It's pretty awesome looking. That's where I started this, where I was okay, give me a concept art for this game or that game, and then it was wait, that would be a fun looking game if I could only make that possible. So that's pie in the sky. It will never look that great, but maybe you spend some time on it. But the idea here is just in terms of it's basically being I know kind of what I want, but I don't want to code it. I don't want to use 3D models. I don't want to even look at the Godot engine itself, literally. Just so we just want to skip as much as possible. And then it's doing stuff. I'm just going to say steer, and then so that's kind of the thing. It's as you do this, it's going to take it's basically, you're saying, hey, you do everything. I don't really want to know too much about it until you think you're done, and then I'll test it, and then I'll tell you a whole bunch more. But all that in between of how the 3D model is going to work, it's probably going to try and polish some of the models because they come back a little bit crazy, and it'll do a whole bunch of things that just I'm just happy that we don't have to deal with any of that stuff, because video games are cool, but having to make them aren't. So that's what's happening. We can, what can we do here? We can wait for it. That's essentially all we have to do at this point. There you go. Beautiful. And then paste that in. Here is our logo. And you use it and animate it in a nice way on splash screen. And use our image concept art as subtle background that moves slow. Big play button. As you can see, and I'm just gonna like continue to steer it here instead of letting it finish whatever it was doing, just in case, because since it's gonna make 3D models and stuff, like you kind of want it to like have some kind of like reference sooner than later before it comes and says like, oh, I decided that it's a Gothic game, and you're like, wait, that doesn't matter, and then it might have to do it again. So also it can create images like with Pixel Lab or something, decide that it's not great and then ditch it and then have to do it again. So it can cost a lot of money. In terms of like, an example was with this one, I asked it to create a canary as the main character, and then it came up with a different animal, and then it decided that didn't look enough like a bird. So it went and spent a whole bunch more credits just to get to the bird. So you might want to say, hey, I don't care too much. Another tip is that what you're doing is with video games anyways, is you're trying to do is a vertical slice. Is just like the one thing where you can jump in and get out of it in 5 minutes, and does it sell you on the concept, or do you get what the idea is? And if it's a good concept, then obviously you can go out from there. But just in terms of that, like, so there's things, if you have no intention on building a video game, what we're learning here is we're giving it access to a tool, we're giving it access to API keys, and we're directing it through art and taste, but we don't care at all about like any of the technical, like you could probably do this in like Unreal or whatever, but Godot is simple. So yeah, so like basically we have this open as purely a way to just experience what it created. We're not going to touch any of this stuff. So we're going to go to import, wherever you have it, and then my game, and you can see here it made a bunch of files, and then we're going to open it and import it, and then okay, so it does, you know, it might say, hey, you need to upgrade blah 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 blah, because whatever, but you know, it does it all itself. And now this is what normal people would see if they're video game people. They would go in here and they'd be like, oh cool, things, clicking on things and doing all the things, but we don't do that. It's basically gonna look like this always for us. Like, we're not gonna, like, all we're gonna do here is wait for it to be done, or not even, and click play. And then boom, see, look at that. We got our background here, we got our logo, we got a big play button. Boom. So like starting like, so like that's the fun way, is the easiest way, is starting on the intro screen, like, you know, doing those little, like, you know, make it look like PS1 or whatever. That's like the first, hey, that's the first experience of the game. Can you throw all the art concepts at you right away, just to be like, okay, that's fun, that's part of the experience. You turn it on, like, are you excited to press play? I think nothing's gonna happen. So we're just gonna go back over here and say, okay, the title is now integrated because I told it that was important. I had to stop everything, and now it's doing a texture on our burger, and it says that it's remaining at 30%, which is healthy, I guess. And it'll just keep going. At this point, you basically just wait, or you come up with more ideas, but you basically have to, like, you know, think in a small kind of sliver. Wants access to everything. I probably shouldn't say yes to all of that. Oh my god, just have everything. Go after my whole computer thingy. So now it's there. I can do a real engine validation. So it did find Godot. It said it wasn't on there, but it was. And it can So one thing I suggest is that once it's got to that point where it has files, you open it up in here, and then you'll see when you open it up again, it will import everything. All we're doing again is just click and play. But it can, I'm not sure if I set anything up for this. You might have to say, is there anything that you could set up for Godot? I don't think I did. But either way, it can open up Godot and take screenshots of it. So it must have did something. But it probably figured that out itself. So what it will do, as it's getting closer to the end, it will actually run the game, take screenshots of it, and then it will go straight to different scenes of the game, and then to like try and polish it, which is kind of cool. Almost to the end here. It's 16 minutes. So, but reality when you're doing this like by yourself is like I said like 4 things to it, and then I just wait and wait. So I guess at this point I'll pause it, and then we'll come back to see what it created, and then that is basically it. Once you have that point, you'll probably be pretty bad, probably see a ton of things to fix, and then you'll just go after fixing those things. And there's like no bigger rabbit hole than a video game in terms of like what you could make it do, or what you'd want it to do, or effects, or this or that. But that's really not the point of this video. It's not so much like how to make a game. It's about how to like do something that you have no desire to learn how to do yourself, like deal with 3D objects, but you want the end result. And if you think of it a little bit differently, video games, or at least like you can do work with it. Like, that's why I did an app where you can talk to robots and they walk around and different things like that, because it can do stuff on the web. So it can be a video game interface for real world stuff. I think that's where the future is going. So if you take the future, add 20 years to it, and everyone knows how to play video games, and then what is it? We're going to be in the metaverse, just directing robots around. I don't know. Either way, hopefully this inspires you on how to take this kind of process and apply it to something else. Like maybe, well, you could do it for like a book. Say you have a nice typesetting book application that's really nice and expensive or something, and then you can have it write your book and then use that typesetting app to like, I'm trying to think of something that'd be really annoying, like when you try to like get a book onto Amazon and they like say your margins aren't correct, like things like that, where you can be like, hey, the book is done, can you just like do all this technical stuff that I don't even want to know about how you did it, just make sure you did it and it's good. That's kind of like what happens with coding, actually. It's like, this is essentially just coding a whole bunch of stuff. So I can keep ranting. I did try to make this video earlier, and ultimately it turned into me waiting, and then at the end it was just like, hey, you just create a folder, you connect ChatGPT to it, and you tell it, here's what you can do, and then it does it. It's always surprising how much simpler it is than I think it's going to be. So you can see here it says the previews are on target. The dog has an expressive mascot silhouette, and the booth reads clearly at the game distance. The burger proven picture now finished. I'm importing both, and yeah, so we'll see where this goes. And we're back, and it continued to go, and was opening up the game and trying it out. It looks pretty glitchy, but hopefully it is done here so we can try it out. Ba-da-da. And then we go over to Godot, and then it imports a whole bunch of stuff. As you can see, it created up the burger images, the diner booth, all these textures. It's done it, and it loaded it all up in there, and I haven't even touched any of these. Like, you never even have to touch any of this. This is like literally just a big play button, and you can then export this to be on the web. Like, it could be a full video game, or it could be on like a web thing or whatever. Are we done? Okay, so yeah, it didn't need to use Pixel Lab. It created a burger, a hot dog, and a booth. Used 90 credits. It used generated the HUD, it basically did all the things. Okay, so let's try and see what it's like. In fact, so one thing it doesn't do is it often will not, my apologies, that was just a sound effect. We'll just do full screen so that way we can get it better. Okay, let's try it. So throw, repeat, kitchen arena. Let's play it. Okay. Okay, yeah. Okay, I can't move my mouse, but I can throw. Yeah. There you go. I'm in a diner and I'm throwing burgers at hot dogs. I can't turn around. Bam. Okay. You guys can come in. That was it. Thank you very much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day.